Hello everybody, welcome to Let's All Go to the Trailers. I am Brandon Jones, your host. I'm joined by Mr. Kyle Bosman.
Hi everybody.
And Mr. Ryan Stevens.
How are you?
I'm good. Was that a clinical opening? Did you like that?
Clinical.
That was very formal. My brain was searching for jokes, I just couldn't come up with one. Well, we're here again, it's another week. I am off jury duty, thank goodness. The trial ended today, so no fear of the show not happening next week. Hopefully I'll be on GT time next week, Kyle.
Please.
But I've wrangled these two jokers together in my office to watch 3 of what I consider the most thought-provoking trailers of the week. And we're going to grade them and chat about them and show you some other clips you guys should check out. So let's get started. So right off the bat, I want to talk about Call of Duty Ghosts. We've already talked about a Battlefield trailer that's very similar to this because it's also DLC for a very similar military-based game. This one has more flashy editing, I think, more title effects, and goes through the new modes in the DLC kind of more like a menu. And I'm curious what you guys think, if it's better or worse than the Battlefield trailer we saw before. Kyle?
I think it is far worse, and I can't explain why. I feel like Battlefield put us in the game. This one is just showing off things that are hard to care about. Do you know things a player has already seen from this game? Oh, you can throw knives. They could already throw knives. This is the game they've already been playing.
I feel like they've been making Call of Duty trailers. I don't know if they have multiple teams. Obviously, you know, they've always been switching off between Treyarch and Infinity Ward for making the games. But I've always kind of felt like they do know their audience, and they have a giant audience. I know the numbers have been a little fractured since the next-gen stuff to kind of really put a cap on it. So it's interesting what you say, Kyle, about like how they're showing people what they already know, but sometimes people, I think, just want to know. People want to know what they already know sometimes as well. If they mix it in, yeah. I'm not joking entirely.
Yeah, no,
with,
I know what you mean.
Mixed in with like seeing the new stuff. I know it sounds a little silly, but I think they kind of know what they're doing. And like I said, they've been doing this for a while. I think it's an okay trailer. Was the Battlefield episode? Was I there for that, or was that Bloodworth? Because I am completely blanking what you're talking
that was
about.
Blood, I think.
Oh yeah, with the hovercrafts and
yeah,
all that
okay,
stuff. Yeah,
cool. Okay, because I honestly could not remember. But I don't know, like I really think it is speaking to a particular audience. I know we had this kind of conversation with the Smite launch trailer, but I think this is actually a bit better. And you know, people like to dog on the COD stuff. Oh yeah, the aliens. But I think this is decent.
By the way, how crazy is it that this is the same game we're watching right now?
Same DLC, not even just the game, but this extra stuff that they're adding. It has all these different modes, little Predator tease at the end.
Yeah, I mean they've had the George Romero, who's the
George Romero.
George Romero, and like what, Buffy the Vampire Slayer were in the games in the past.
Yeah,
and they've always had zombies like tacked on. Yeah, the Predator thing is just odd, but I guess nothing really shocks me anymore.
Well,
I'm dead on the inside.
What this trailer made me think about is
shooters.
The difference in tone from Battlefield and Call of Duty. Like, they're both military, they're both modern, but Battlefield, I think, maybe takes itself more seriously, is more centric on actually recreating the Battlefield experience. Like, we're going to take you into the battlefield and not do any titles or anything, so you can really understand the give and take between these vehicles, the kind of crazy circumstances you can get in. Whereas Call of Duty is just like, Call of Duty, woo! You know, like that's why they pick a popular song. They're like, let's get, you know, what's the song that they?
This is actually part of what bothers me. It's the same Eminem song they used for like the original reveal trailer.
They probably paid a lot for that, and they're trying to get their money's worth.
But like in terms of like showing us what's new, stop using that same song over and over. To me, that's like maybe it's the theme song of Ghost, but it shows nothing new if you're using the same dumb song again.
So, if they don't have the money to buy a new song, should they just use generic music, or
dubstep?
They're hurting themselves by using the song again?
I'm positive they have enough money to afford some other song.
Well, I mean, I know they have the money to spend, but is it smart money to spend is my question. Like, do you think the trailer would be better, and you think more people would end up buying it if they had picked a different piece of music?
I think the trailer would definitely be better. I can't promise more people would buy it. I don't know, like, it's kind of along the lines of what Ryan was saying. How good does this trailer need to be, and how much could it just be like, here is specifically what you'll get for this DLC you already bought because you got the season pass?
I like the editing in this trailer.
Do you?
I would score this trailer highly. I think from an editing perspective, if you're an aspiring editor out there, Listen to the music, listen to the beats of the music, and pay attention to not just the cuts, meaning when one shot moves to another shot, but all the little beats of like, weapons being reloaded, when they're actually fired versus when the shot actually hits one of the soldiers, explosions and stuff like that. They all move to a beat. The sound effects kind of transition between the different songs that they use. They have really good production values in all the media that Call of Duty does. So I would at least give it a 7.7 just because that's great editing.
Wow.
I'm curious what your score is.
I love having the Brandon perspective for moments like these. Again, like I'm rating the trailer on like how well it accomplishes what it sets out to accomplish.
That's what I want.
They had a guy light a volcano. He made the volcano explode, and then like a couple of little tennis balls fall out of it. 3.9.
I'll give it an 8. I think it's pretty well done.
Coming up next is a game I know we haven't talked about, a game I haven't really talked to you much about, Ryan, and you've seen this game or played this game?
I got to see a 45-minute demo.
This is Middle-earth, not Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth, because it doesn't actually take place during the Lord of the Rings saga. Shadow of Mordor, just one shadow. Some people call Shadows of Mordor. It's just one.
Is it Castlevania Lord of Shadow or Lord of Shadows?
I think it's Shadows. There's multiple shadows there. See, he's the Lord of many shadows. The shadows are his subject, where this character himself is the lone shadow of Mordor.
Well, the shadow is, you kind of see who the shadow is here, perhaps.
Yeah, lots of sadness. Definitely a God of War vibe I'm getting from this, where it's just like how, they're all dead. How sad is that? So you definitely want to fight for this guy. But is there any teases in here? Anything about the story that you know that they're kind of giving away here?
Well, I mean, I think the thing here is that you and the Wraith are kind of intertwined, but he's still his own personality, and they won't really get into that also so much. I mean, this game has so many cool things going for it. Like there's like org charts for orcs and lots of weird character interaction, and like we saw orcs like throwing a feast, and that if that orc throws his feast, he'll gain reputation, and you could totally ignore it or you can get in there. I like simulation a lot.
That's cool, yeah.
But on the other hand, like even if you're not a die-hard like Lord of the Rings fan, when someone's like, all of this, I've said this before, but they're like, there's only so much real estate on the timeline you can carve out, and they're like, what if what if human settlements were in Mordor between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings? And it just feels like it rings false, right?
Well,
just
it is false.
I mean, on a real fundamental level.
That's a problem that I have with it, is because I know deep down that it was only created to try to do something. It was just them sitting in a room tearing their hair out, being like, what other story can we come up with?
I mean, and this is a cinematic trailer, and I didn't get to the pre-order bonus. I don't know. I think it's good that they are acknowledging that they're having a serious plot stuff, but I think they did the smart move with releasing the gameplay before they released this. I think the gameplay is definitely what's really going to hook people. Really interesting stuff going on. Still curious to see how it's going to do on current gen stuff. Since next gen games.
Is there any kind of a Groundhog Day mechanic going in the game? Because he wakes up a lot in the trailer, which makes me wonder what they're trying to get at there.
No, there's no like weird absolute time thing, but like you can't really die. That's one of the things.
So do you think every time he dies, he wakes up again? Is that what they're trying to do?
I think it would be more like the Wraith would probably take your mortal form and put it somewhere. The thing is, anytime an enemy kills you, they gain a level. So...
Oh, interesting.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's some next-gen stuff right there. You're saying there's no next-gen games. I mean, that...
But this is getting released on current gen as well, supposedly.
Well.
So, I'm just curious.
What do you think, Kyle? You haven't talked a lot about this game. Do you like Lord of the Rings to begin with?
I do. Brandon, I have a question for you, basically.
Ooh.
Can we knock a trailer if the game has bad facial animations?
Sure, yeah.
Basically, I'm appalled by these facial animations. That is so bad.
Well, he's dead. I mean, he's a walking corpse, so there's that.
I don't know, man.
So CG is actually the perfect look. It's like the Polar Express movie.
But it's really tough. I mean, you think about all the Last of Us trailers, like those relied mostly on you staring at these people and discerning their emotions. L.A. Noire trailers were, hung their hat completely on the facial animations. So yeah, I think it's really a fine line of, do we want to just tell a story and make you like empathetic of these characters, or like, no, we really want to make this realistic. So you're saying this is not an engine? I get kind of an engine vibe.
I'm sorry, it's like cinematic. Most of the stuff's like cinematic though stuff. I mean that stuff there looked like it was, like well placed camera, bullshot, game angle stuff. But it's a typical third person.
And this is my least favorite. I did a final boss one about that. Just the pre-order now at the end of your trailer, turning it into a commercial. what once was like this nice like introducing us to its vibe.
Yeah, especially with the story trailer that kind of
Yeah.
brings you into the world, and at the end, it's like, you know, it's a game, right? Okay, and end trailer now, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
Send us money, please. Like, oh gosh, come on.
The magic is kind of dead. Yeah, I like knowing the story, but yeah, I don't know, you bringing up the facial animation kind of maybe drop this down a little bit.
But it's like, it's not the trailer's fault the animation's bad in the faces, right?
I don't know. It depends on who made it.
Yeah.
Depends on if they made it internally and conceived, you know, we're creating these cinematics, or if, you know, they just made a bunch of cinema stuff, wrote a script, and then gave that to a trailer production company.
Right.
In that instance, then yeah, it's not their fault for, you know, for putting it together. But I can't, for me, the big thing is, okay, if it is Lord of the Rings, but it's not. So like, I'm supposed to play it because I like that era, but it's not in that era. And so I think the story thing is one of the biggest things that they're going to have to sell. And so in that regard, I think it kind of underwhelmed me. I give it a 6.8 because I don't think I'll be playing this game. And I like RPGs, and I like Lord of the Rings, but I don't know if I'll make time for this.
Wow. Oh, I'll give this one a 4.9. I think it's a very average trailer, and I think it is just 0.1 less than average because of the bad facial animations.
I'm gonna give this a 7. I think it's still pretty good. I think it's dealing with some rough stuff. In the whole, like I already said, I think they're handling the rollout of this, other than the pre-order tag at the end, fairly well. I like how it's dramatic, but it's not melodramatic with everything that's going on, which a lot of stuff, when they try to grab you for the 2 minutes, sometimes it's not really handleable that well.
And it is quick. It's only 2 minutes, so it doesn't like drag out the story.
I wanted to actually talk about one specific thing I love, is when he puts his sword back in its sheath on his back, so it's like a half sheath. A thing that always really bugs me about Zelda, any Zelda basically, or 3D Zelda, where Link is putting his sword back in the sheath, it's like, that'd be really hard to do because of how long his sword is. And it's just a really quick animation. So this guy's got like a half sheath, and you see the whole animation of him putting it into it, which I think is really cool.
But still, you give it a
4.9.
4.8.
Yeah.
Got it.
What do you give the sheath?
Sheath, 8.9.
Our last trailer is a little bizarre, but really jumped out and grabbed me when I first saw it. And specifically because I have a lot of problem with trailers that just show gameplay. I'm like, come on, you gotta do something else.
Sure.
But for me, I thought this was the perfect way to debut this game. I think this trailer wouldn't be as effective if it had titles explaining what the heck was going on. I kind of like just staring at this and feeling perplexed. What do you think, Ryan? This seems like your kind of game.
I like the look a lot. I don't know if it is my sort of game. I'd want to mess around with it, and I actually really like that first shot with like the shattered head. But I kind of get the idea of what this is.
Well, how do you control this? I mean, do you have any idea just looking at it?
Oh, so it's clearly
like
a mobile-esque game, yeah?
It's Microsoft Game Studios, isn't it?
Yes.
So
Sorry, just Microsoft Studios.
It
now.
definitely
There's no
feels
game.
like a Vita game, but yeah, this might be.
So is it a
just an
Surface
Xbox
game?
Live.
Like honestly, I didn't do much looking.
I don't know. That is the point. Is I kind of don't want to do the research. Like I was just intrigued by seeing this and just wondering, like, what the heck is going on here?
I mean, I'm gonna sound like a party pooper. I think it visually looks really cool, but it doesn't look particularly that. Like the touchscreen stuff. Like, did you ever play that Crabitron game where you're the pinchers on the crabs on the iOS? Like, that was fun like 4 years ago. I don't know. Some of this touch stuff is not really appealing to me. And if it's not touch, it's probably just, you know, weird pathfinding where it kind of grabs the stuff wherever you go.
So is there anything that they could have done
That
in the
shot's really
trailer
cool,
that could have made you more excited about this game?
Well, here's the question. If you saw it, if the camera panned away and you saw someone was playing it on their Microsoft Surface, it's a computer and a tablet and a laptop. I mean, would you be like, Microsoft just gave me $17 for doing that. Like, would that made me more or less excited? I don't know. I mean, it looks cool, and who knows, maybe with a nice price point or some word of mouth, but it doesn't seem enticing enough to me at this point.
I think we're tapping. I think we're tapping where we want the next tentacle to go.
Yeah.
It's interesting with the 3D aspect, but it seems like it's kind of locked camera for most of the part, right?
So what I kind of like about this trailer is it's clearly not a big game. One of the first things you do, and like this right here, your upgrade powers, it's showing you what the game is basically. You know, when it's like eat an eyeball and a challenge accepted, boom, or a challenge completed, boom. It's showing you what kind of game it is, and that's probably why I thought it was a mobile game at first. Is it's like, oh, okay, this is clearly that kind of do challenges, earn upgrades kind of game, whether it's on mobile or not. I'm almost 100% positive this is a mobile game at this point.
I still like it. I would give it a 7. I just like how it just jumps right into gameplay. This reminds me of one of the games that like Justin Spear would be playing, and I'd be walking across a capture area and just be like, what the hell is that? And I think if your game is like that, kind of what the hell is that game?
You're doing something right.
I think something like Darkest Dungeon wouldn't work. You couldn't just jump into gameplay. You need a little bit of context before you can explain what you're looking at. Whereas this, I like not having the context. And so that's why this trailer kind of stuck out for me this week. I give it a 7. I think it's fairly okay.
I'll give it a 7. I think it to 7.2. I think it shows what the nature of this game is off well, in a non-offensive way.
I like the trailer. I just don't really, and it's not like I hate the game. It's just I don't know if I'd want to play it. I'd give it a 7 as well. Nice colors.
I thought you were gonna be much harsher than that.
No, I don't want to play it. It looks a really cool trailer. I'm glad you brought it to my attention because I definitely would have skipped it.
That's the best you could ask, you know, that you weren't skipped.
But it's still not gonna make me probably play it. I don't know.
We'll see.
It's a weird conundrum.
So those are our 3 trailers for the week. Also this week, Daylight, which I hope doesn't suck because that looks really creepy and awesome, had a trailer called Somebody's Watching. And I did like the text, Somebody's Watching Trailer. It's like, oh, it's probably me. If somebody's watching trailer, they're talking about me. But the trailer's called Somebody's Watching, and it is creepy. It's got that great Amnesia, did I just see somebody run by the window effect that happens multiple times. Also brought to my attention by Mr. Ryan Stevens was a trailer for Pop-Up Dungeon, which just opened up on Kickstarter, which you don't like at all, Kyle. What issues did you have with Pop-Up Dungeon?
So for me, it's just an issue of abstraction. It's kind of like what's that Crimson Shroud that came out on 3DS, where like you're playing as little figurines in a dungeon as opposed to actual things in a dungeon. This is the same kind of thing. You're playing as a paper representation of a dungeon. Too much imagination for my sorry brain.
So you don't like Tearaway?
Tearaway takes place within everything that happens in Tearaway is in Tearaway. I think Pop-Up Dungeon is most meant to represent our actual dungeon. You're playing the paper things that represent it. Look, it's a whole thing of my own little. I can't deal with that abstraction of like double imagination.
It cancels it out.
Yeah, it's like a card
like math.
game. Yeah, well, it's like playing a card game inside of a video game is hard for me.
Ah. But you're okay playing Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy Color?
Yes, okay, because there's no abstraction there because you're playing a character who is actually playing that game inside that game. Look, it's a great trailer. It's honestly, Pop-Up Dungeon's a great trailer.
Trailer of the week.
Well, it's a trailer you should check out just because it explains the whole thing in one trailer. It kind of has to like start you off with a game you've never heard of before, and then by the end of the trailer, convince you to buy it and explain to you what they want to do.
Not buy it, but kickstart it.
Or kickstart it, yeah.
Yeah, and it actually, as opposed to most Kickstarters, it looks like they have a clear plan of what this game will look like and be, and you know, it seems like you could safely kickstart this one.
So if you want to throw more money at video games, go check it out. Also, I know you don't like isometric games, but right. The debut trailer came out for Shadowrun Online, and it is very not exciting. I think they could have, spiced up the gameplay a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's very dull. If you're totally into Shadowrun, then you'll probably be excited. But trying to sell the outside crowd, I think it was a little mild. And man, as I'm looking at this list, these are not really good trailers this week.
Oh my gosh, what is trailer of the week this week?
Was there any super hot trailers? I'm looking at, I always...
Is this a bye week?
That Knack trailer for PlayStation All-Stars. That was a hell of a trailer.
I know some of the animators who worked on that.
It was short and sweet, but was that a good trailer?
Maybe Tentacles, right?
Boy, I don't know. Probably Middle-earth tried a little bit more than Tentacles did.
You're right.
Call of Duty Ghosts is really generic, and I hate giving it to Call of Duty because they make those trailers all the time. Like,
it's a good trailer, though.
They're good at it.
Yeah, nothing really got my goat. Goat Simulator.
Oh, I gotta mention. Oh, sorry.
Goat Simulator.
Totally forgot to show you guys the Goat Simulator launch trailer from last week that made fun of Dead Island. That had the goat going through a window, and then it goes through the window on the opposite side of the room, and then through a farmhouse, and then through and stuff. And a lot of people were very angry with me on Twitter in the comments that we didn't mention that. But that was our first major trailer faux pas, which I feel pretty good. We've been showing the best of the best so far. So I don't know, maybe we should just give it to Goat Simulator out of respect. Maybe Middle-earth gets the silver medal. But yeah, Goat Simulator, that makes it easy, because all the other trailers this week smell like goat shit.
Whoa!
Just mellow trailers. Whoa. Yeah, they get the goat shit score. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some better trailers, and definitely check out. There's lots of April Fool's stuff, of course, this week because we had April Fool's. So lots of silly April Fool's trailers. So check those out check those out as well. And before I completely stop my ability to speak English, I'm going to wrap up the show. Thank you very much, Ryan and Kyle, for hanging out, and we'll see you next week. Stay tuned.